So, you've probably been told that if a woman's not interested, there's nothing you can do, that attraction is either theory or it isn't, but that's not entirely true. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why. Welcome back, Tough Channel. If you're tired of buying the guy who chases, the guy who waits for a reply, or the guy who constantly wonders if he's enough, this one is for you, because this isn't about tricks or pickup lines. This is about understanding something deeper, how attraction works on a psychological and how to flip the dynamic in your favor even when she seems disinterested. Now, here's where it gets controversial. Most women are conditioned to believe they're their prize no matter who they are or what they bring to the table. Society feeds that idea non-stop, and because of that, they walk into interactions already believing you're going to want them, chase them, and prove yourself. But the minute you stop playing that script and instead become the man she has to qualify herself to, everything changes. You go from being background noise to signal she can't ignore. She starts chasing you, and that's what we're breaking down today. The mindset, behaviors, and subtle shifts that make women pursue you, even if they didn't see you that way at first. It's not about manipulation. It's about reversing years of conditioning, where men were taught to beg for attention instead of commanding it. One of the most powerful shifts a man can make in his relationships is to become more intentional with his attention. So many men, without even realizing it, give their energy away too freely, especially in the early stages of getting to know a woman. And while it often comes from a place of genuine interest or kindness, it can actually backfire when you're always available, always replying immediately, constantly liking her posts, reacting to every story, and offering non-stop compliments. You remove one of the core dynamics that naturally fuels romantic connection, the element of curiosity. In the early stages of attraction, part of what builds interest is the dance, the uncertainty, the tension, the space where someone gets to wonder, what's he thinking, what's he doing, does he like me? When that space disappears and everything is served up without pause or discretion, the attraction can fizzle out, not because you're not a great guy, but because there's no mystery left to explore. Women, like men, tend to value what they've had to work a little bit to understand. And when attention is given without discernment, it can feel less like connection and more like validation seeking. It's important to understand that your attention is a form of energy, and energy has value. When you're selective, thoughtful, and authentic with where you place it, people feel that it's not about playing games or withholding for manipulation. It's about recognizing your own worth and engaging in a way that invites mutual interest and investment. Take someone like Marcus. He meets a woman he's genuinely drawn to. She's beautiful, engaging, and the chemistry is real. But instead of immediately flooding her with attention or seeking constant reassurance that she's interested, Marcus stays grounded. He keeps his texts intentional. He reaches out when there's something real to say. He shows warmth and interest, but he also stays connected to his own life, goals, and sense of self. And over time, she feels that difference. She senses that he's not seeking approval, he's sharing connection. And that dynamic becomes magnetic. She begins to initiate. She begins to wonder about him, not because he's playing hard to get, but because he's not handing over his energy indiscriminately. The bottom line is this: your presence, your attention, and your interest are meaningful. They're not meant to be thrown around casually. They're meant to be shared with people who respect and reciprocate them. And when a woman senses that you honor your own energy, she's far more likely to honor it too. Real connection begins when two people value themselves enough to let the relationship unfold with mutual respect, curiosity, and healthy boundaries. 2. Don't treat her like she's already special. It's something many men do without realizing it. The moment they meet a woman they find attractive, their entire energy changes, their voice softens, their behavior shifts. Suddenly she's treated like she's above everyone else in the room. Effort doubles, compliments flow, and it becomes less about building a connection and more about keeping her interested at any cost. But the truth is, that kind of behavior can quietly dissolve attraction before anything even starts. Because for many women, especially those who are often approached, this isn't new. They're used to getting extra attention simply for being beautiful. They're used to people trying to impress them, to win them over, to treat them like royalty without even knowing who they are. And when you're just one more person feeding that pattern, you fade into the background. Not because you're not kind, not because you're not sincere, but because there's no contrast, no sense of individuality in how you show up. What breaks the pattern is presence. Grounded presence. When you treat her like you treat anyone, respectfully but without excessive admiration, you stand out. You send the message that you're not easily moved by appearances alone, that you're here to connect, not to chase, that you're interested, yes, but not automatically impressed. And that alone creates curiosity. She starts to wonder why you're different, why you're not falling over yourself like so many others. That space for wondering, that's where real interest starts to build. This doesn't mean being rude. It's not about pretending to be disinterested. It's about holding yourself and her to the same standard. You're not putting her on a pedestal before she's even had a chance to earn that place in your life. You're treating her like a person, not a prize. And when you do that, you shift the entire dynamic. Instead of trying to prove yourself to her, you're taking a step back and asking, does she align with my values, my world, my vision for the future? That kind of mindset is rare. Most people aren't used to it, especially in dating. And because of that, it captures attention in a powerful way. When you act like someone needs to earn your energy, your time, and your approval, not because you're withholding, but because you genuinely respect yourself, it draws others in. You're no longer chasing, you're inviting. You're not auditioning for a spot in her life. You're considering whether she fits in yours. And here's the deeper truth. Being attractive doesn't automatically make someone the right person for you. It doesn't guarantee emotional availability, shared values, or mutual effort. What makes someone truly special is how they show up, how they treat others, how they communicate, how they invest. And until you see those things for yourself, there's no reason to hand over all of your attention. When you understand that, your entire approach shifts. You stop giving energy away for free. You stop needing constant validation. And ironically, that's when people start leaning in. Because what you're showing isn't arrogance, it's emotional clarity. She's not special just because she's attractive. She becomes special when she shows you, through her actions and her presence, that she sees you clearly too. And when that happens, you meet on equal ground. You create something mutual, something authentic, something real. 4. Let her feel you're not locked in. This idea makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but it's a vital part of cultivating a healthy, balanced connection, allowing someone to feel on a subtle level that your attention is a choice, not a guarantee. Too often, especially early in dating, men fall into the trap of emotionally committing before the relationship has even begun. They make a woman the center of their world long before she's earned that role. She feels the certainty of his loyalty, his focus, and is interested in if she's not putting in much effort at all. And once that happens, the dynamic quietly shifts. She starts to relax, not in a connected, safe way, but in a way that takes the connection for granted. But when a woman senses that you're not emotionally locked in, that your energy, time, and attention aren't guaranteed, something changes. She becomes more intentional. She notices the quality of your presence. She begins to engage more consciously, not because she's afraid of losing you, but because she understands that she's not the only one who might want what you offer. You're not flaunting other women. You're not trying to create jealousy. You're simply living like a man who values himself enough not to place his entire emotional future in one person's hands before they've earned that space. This doesn't mean you need to talk to multiple women. It doesn't mean you're emotionally unavailable. What it means is that your energy communicates something powerful. I choose to be here, but I'm not dependent on being here. That kind of self-possession is magnetic. It flips the dynamic from "I hope she picks me" to "I'm seeing if this truly aligns for both of us." And that subtle shift often inspires women to show up more fully, to invest more deeply, to lean into the connection instead of assuming it's already secured. See, when someone knows they can't just drift away and still keep your full attention, they become more mindful. The relationship gains tension, the good kind, the kind that builds excitement and emotional investment. But when someone feels overly safe too soon, when they know they can pull back, stop trying, and you'll still be right there, they stop being intentional. The effort fades, and once you're the one chasing, the balance breaks. So here's the truth. When a woman feels like she could lose your attention, not because you're playing games, but because you're emotionally healthy and willing to walk away if the dynamic doesn't feel right, she values that attention more. She starts putting in energy, not out of fear, but out of awareness. She recognizes your presence as something meaningful, not automatic, and that awareness keeps the connection alive. It keeps effort flowing both ways. It's not about making her feel replaceable. It's about reminding yourself that you are irreplaceable when you know your worth, that your energy is not something to give away carelessly. The more you believe that, the more naturally it shows in how you carry yourself. You become someone who doesn't cling, someone who doesn't chase what pulls away, someone who invites connection but never begs for it. And ironically, that quiet confidence, the kind that says "I'm here by choice, not desperation," often inspires exactly what you've been hoping for. Her reaching back, her investing more, and her valuing the opportunity to truly connect. 5. Show interest, then step back. One of the most powerful ways to inspire genuine pursuit from a woman is to let her feel your interest but not drown her in it. This isn't about playing games, it's about creating space for connection to develop naturally. Most men make one of two mistakes. They either come on too strong or they hold back completely. But real connection lives in the balance between the two. You show her you're into her, but then you pause, giving her the opportunity to respond, to lean in, to match your energy. That simple balance creates curiosity, and curiosity is what fuels emotional investment. When a woman senses that you're slightly into her, but not fully leaning in, she starts to pay closer attention. She notices your tone, your timing, your energy. But if you pour on too much attention too soon, she doesn't get the chance to feel anything. There's no anticipation, no desire, no space to wonder about you. You've already given her the full experience before she's even asked for a hand. When that happens, interest fades. Now, here's the shift. When you show a little bit of that genuine interest, then step back and return to your own rhythm, your own life. You create a gap, and it's in that space where something meaningful can take shape. She starts wondering, is he still into me? Did I imagine that spark? What do I need to do to keep this connection alive? That subtle emotional tension isn't manipulation, it's movement. It's space for her to reflect, to reach, and to invest. Let's say you meet a woman and there's great energy between you. The conversation flows, you're confident, present, and engaged. Maybe you tell her you'd like to see her again. She responds positively. But instead of sending a dozen messages the next day or pushing to lock down plans, you keep it grounded. Maybe you check in a few days later, but you're not chasing. You're giving her time to process her own interest. And you're giving yourself the same, that pause, that gap where she expects you to flood her with attention but you don't. That's where the real intrigue begins. She may start initiating, she may engage more, she might reach out, check your stories, like your posts, not because she's being strategic, but because you left her with something real, a moment, a spark, something meaningful enough for her to want to feel it again. This isn't about disappearing, it's about restraint, emotional maturity. You're not pulling back to punish or provoke. You're doing it because you know who you are, because you value mutual energy, because you trust that if a connection is meant to grow, both people will water it, not just you. The men who get this aren't avoidant, they're centered. They don't need constant affirmation. They don't panic when there's silence. They trust that if a woman's interested, she'll show it, and if she's not, forcing it only drains their energy. So they move with clarity, they live their life, and they let interest speak for itself. Your attention should feel like a spark, not a flood. Enough to warm her interest, but not so much that it burns out the mystery. Show her you see her, show her you're present, then pull back and let her rise to meet you. If she does, you'll know it's real. If she doesn't, you'll know it was never yours to hold. That's the strength in this approach. It reveals who's actually aligned with your energy, and who is only ever drawn to the chase. 6. Make her compete with your lifestyle. One of the most powerful shifts in attraction happens when a woman realizes she's not the most exciting part of your world, but she could be. When she sees that your life is already full, that you have momentum, purpose, and passion, she naturally starts to wonder, where do I fit into all of this? And more importantly, do I even make the cut? Most men lose this energy the moment a woman shows interest. They drop their priorities, shift their schedule, and unconsciously send a message that she now defines their world. But when that happens, the polarity dies. She's not entering a strong man's life, she's becoming his life, and that doesn't inspire pursuit. It creates emotional fatigue. What does make her chase? It's knowing you're already building something worth being. A part of you have a mission, goals, a routine, a life that is meaningful with or without her. That creates subtle but powerful competition. She starts to see that your time is not just freely available, it's earned. This doesn't mean you ignore her, it means you're selective. You don't cancel the gym because she texted. You don't drop your focus every time she calls. You're not unpredictable or flaky, you're consistent. And that consistency shows emotional maturity, not aloofness. That's what makes you stand out. That's what makes her see your life as something of value, not just your attention. And suddenly, she's not acting casual anymore. She becomes intentional. She wants in not because you played a game, but because you built something real. When a woman starts viewing your lifestyle as a space she wants to earn her way into, everything changes. You're no longer just a guy she's talking to. You're an opportunity she doesn't want to miss. 7. Reward her effort, not her looks. This is where so many men need a mindset reset. A lot of guys are still giving their attention, loyalty, and energy simply because a woman is attractive, as if beauty alone makes her worthy of commitment. But the truth, that's exactly the kind of mindset that makes men forgettable. Attractive women are everywhere. Social media, the gym, your daily commute. Beauty gets your attention, but it should never earn your investment by default. That needs to come from her effort, her presence, her character, and how she treats you. When you reward someone just for being attractive, you remove any reason for her to bring anything deeper to the table. She doesn't need to be kind. She doesn't need to be supportive. She doesn't need to show up consistently. She just has to exist, and that's a dynamic that will never keep a woman chasing. So here's the shift. Instead of pouring praise onto her appearance, reward her behavior. How does she treat people? Does she listen? Is she consistent? Does she add peace to your life or create chaos? That's where the real value isn't. That's what deserves your time. When you start filtering based on substance instead of surface, you automatically eliminate the women who aren't serious, and the ones who are. They rise to meet your energy, not because you're being harsh or demanding, but because you've made it clear your life is not a stage for anyone else's validation game. A woman will chase when she senses your approval isn't guaranteed, when she feels like you see beyond the surface. That's when she starts showing up with something real to offer, not just to impress, but to connect. And here's the wrap-up. Let's be honest. Women don't chase men just because they're nice or loyal or endlessly available. They chase the man who doesn't need them but chooses to let them in. So ask yourself, are you showing up like a man who knows his value? Or are you giving your energy away just because she's pretty? Build a life that's already complete. Make her earn a place in it. Respect your time, your energy, and your emotional peace. If you've ever noticed a woman's energy shift the moment you stopped overgiving, or you're ready to change your approach, drop your story in the comments. I respond. Let's build a real community with real conversations, not recycled dating advice. You don't win by chasing. You win by living like someone who's worth chasing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.